Hi, I'm Margo Sorum, and today we're going to focus on hip hinging. Kathleen Porter also calls this bending in her book, but I do prefer the word hip hinging. So we'll be using a lot of different words and they'll hopefully all mean the same thing. But let's start with our pictures. In this picture, you can see these two gentlemen are doing a beautiful job of hinging so that the spine stays elongated. Kathleen writes, when bending is initiated by rotating the pelvis forward, anterior, at the hip socket, the spine remains elongated and free of compression. Strength in the core will automatically protect the spine like a trunk. Look at all these interesting hinging pictures. I think it's very rare that you would see this deep of a hinge when folding over to sit down. Look at this baby. The butt is so far back and the head touches the ground and the spine is completely long in between. This really should be how we are bending to pick things up off the floor. It's a deep bow. Look at this picture on how to bend. And look, the hips are way behind. The knees are bent, but they're right over the ankle joint. So this is going to be one of the things that we work on when we do yoga together. But look, her hips are back, her spine is long. So, her hips, it's beautiful forward fold. So this is going to be one of our main goals today. I also wanted to show you some pictures from this other book, from Dr. Eric Goodman's True to Form. He's the foundation trainer. He's the originator. And I'm also a foundation trainer. And what I love about foundation training is it really is all about loading this posterior chain and doing good forward bending. So notice this woman is at her sink and she's going to start to incorporate the hinging into all her functional movements. Notice the feet are wide, oriented forward, arches are lifted, knees are bent but over the ankles, not forward of the toes. The hips are behind and the spine is long, chin is down. This is such an integrated movement. Same idea when she's vacuuming. One foot's forward, one is back, but there's still this hip hinge. And what Eric calls this is the strengthening of the whole posterior chain. So I'll be using words from natural posture today and foundation training to get you a really good workout and to hopefully cultivate some really good movement patterns that you can do throughout your day. And I like to say that, why go to the gym? Just move well all day long. And these are those movements. So let's get started. Come onto your mat or a surface that is going to be a little bit sticky, that you can kind of add torque to, that you can feel that you have good grip. And the first thing that we're going to do is start with the feet about hip distance apart or underneath your lungs, and be sure you do your foot scoops. And then you're going to think a little bit of abducting your legs as if there was a TheraBand on them. And then push your hips back, come into the hip hinge. I'm going to show that from the side. You can stay in it, but notice your hips go back, your spine stays long, and you're abducting. And already you're going to start to feel a workout happening all along the outsides of the legs and all along the posterior chain. Add your arms. Squeeze, retract the shoulder blades into place. Push the hips back a little bit more. Send the arms forward to counterbalance, but keep your spine integrated. Come back up. Push your butt back. Soften the knees. Abduct the legs. Take your arms forward, hips go back. Come on back up. We're going to do that much again. Push your hips back first. Abduct, knees soften. Arms can go behind you if that feels safer, or they can come forward for more weight. Keep your spine integrated. Your spine is doing what's called extension. It's staying long in good posture. Push into your heels. Your heels are going to pull you and bring you back up. In fact, think of that again. Your heels push you back. Your heels pull you up. The heels pull you back and up. And feel this is the hinge. It's a hinge. It's a one joint move. Don't worry about any other joint. Lean into the heels. Lean into the heels. Use the heels to pull you back and forth. And these hips are able to move back and forth just as they're supposed to. Oh, that should feel like quite a bit of a workout. stand with your feet all the way together. And this will ensure that the arches are lifted in your feet. Weight is back. And bring your thumbs next to your hip creases. Breathe. Trace the sides of your body. Pause at your armpits and feel your elbows lift up and pull your spine out of the pelvis. Keep pushing into your heels. Hands come behind the head. Press your head into your hands. Stay long. And bring the arms all the way up. Push your fingertips together. This is called decompression breath. Inhale into your rib cage. Exhale, thread your belly in. Push down into your heels. Push your fingertips. We add on to this. Inhale. Exhale, push your hips back. Oh, that's the hinge. Open your arms wide. Bring your arms behind you. Little pulses. Breathe into your chest. Push into the heels to bring yourself back up. And then we take a wide stance. So your legs come wider than hip distance apart. Turn your toes in a little bit and lift the arches of your feet. Feel there's some stability in the outer edges of your feet. Already my ankles feel a lot, and so does the outsides of the shins and through the whole lateral leg line. Hands can come to the hips. Weight in heels, push your hips back. Weight in the heels, pull yourself back up. This is the hip hinge. Hinge back, hinge forward. And the only thing that's happening is the hip movement. My spine stays perfectly integrated. There's no spinal bend. There's just this hinge and anterior pelvis happening. Ooh, there's a lift in your arches. Do not collapse. Make sure that the lift in your arch is continuing. And then hold back, lengthen through the arms. I hope it burns. I hope it burns. I hope it burns. Push into your heels, abduct as you come up. Let the arms come down. Turn one foot one way, and we're getting ready for like a triangle pose. But let's put our hands on our hips instead, and then it's just a hip move. Watch. Your hips hinge. And then push into your heels to come back up. Again, stay on the pinky toe side of the foot as you hinge. Your hips go back, and then just push into your heels to come back up. And your spine stays perfectly integrated as you do this 3 times. Or however many times we're doing it. I'm losing track. Come over into this again. Your hamstring should be on fire. Back leg line's on fire. Open an arm, and please don't collapse. There's no collapsing here. There's this stability of your spine, arm, arm. Fill up your pose and breathe 3 times. This is the workout. Your legs will burn. The hips are working. Feel this in your muscles. Feel it in your bones. When you feel it in your bones, your muscles come up. Lower that down. Turn your feet in. Ooh, I still feel the burn happening in my shins. The shins are part of the posterior chain, so you're going to feel that. Turn this way. Get tall and aligned, and we'll practice your hinge. Tip. Good hamstring stretch. Push into your heels to come back up. Hip hinge. Ooh. Keep going a couple times. Practice the hinge. This is super important. It's the hip movement, and then your spine stays integrated. It just goes along for the ride. Stay. Add. Ooh. Breathe. Ooh, I feel this. Push and come up. Bring that down. Come up to standing. Close your eyes. And I think you're going to feel all this residue and feel that the legs are pillars of support. And again, you could step in any direction. You're earth surfing. Use the flexion of your toes a little bit to feel your feet like suction cups. Good. Okay, forward bend. We're going to take the hips back first. Let that keep your spine nice and integrated. There will be a point where you probably get stuck. At that point, you can bend your knees, let them go a little bit wide, and your ribs can come to your thighs. Walk your fingertips forward. Lean your hips back. Let your head lengthen. And you're going to feel the most tremendous forward bend, I hope, of your life. Think about your heels kicking out to the sides, keeping the pelvis nice and open. Keep walking forward, but leaning back. And this is the way that you might want to clean your floor, right? This becomes very collapsed and starts to do weird things. But in this position, you have elongated spine, your knees are safe, the whole chain. Cool. Oh. 2 more big breaths. We're going to keep transitioning. You're going to let your knees go wide. Come into your squat. And then bring your knees down. We're going to kneel. And we're going to do some hinging in your kneeling position. Turn the toes down. Sorry, that'll look like that. And then in this position, we're going to practice the hinge again. So put your hands on your hips. Keep your spine nice and long. Maybe even a hand on your hip and a hand on your head. Your hips go back and your spine stays long. And then the deep hip muscles work to keep you from falling over. But they almost feel a little bit like a roll of paper towels. Push into your toes, into your knees, and come back up. Push your hips back. Spine comes along for the ride. Deep hip hinge. Come back up. This is also called like flexion, right? It's a deep flexion of the hip. Come back up. But your spine stays integrated. So keep that integration happening. Pause here and little pulses. Pulse to the back. Find the muscles deep. Add your arms into this. Bring them forward for a little more challenge. And it is almost like you could tip forward, but you're not. You're in this teeter-totter. Open the arms. Close the arms. Open the arms. Close the arms. Push into your shins. Come all the way up. And release. Come back up to standing. We're going to do one more thing. You're going to do your asymmetric loading. So one foot is forward, one leg is back. Keep your spine nice and tall. In fact, bend your front knee a little bit and just kind of feel this position where your pelvis is back. Take your arms up. Push into your feet, come up. Feel this lovely spinal decompression. Now, just let the hips go back, hinge. Open your arms out to the sides. Pause. Come up onto your back foot. Balance in this standing leg as a pillar of support. Push into the heel. Come back down. Rest. We're going to switch sides. Take your other foot back or your other foot forward. Little bend in that front knee. Trace the sides of your body. Get nice and tall. Come up onto that back heel. Can come up and down a couple of times. And then we're going to work on that hip hinge. Bring the heel down and just hinge the hips back. Arms can come down to shoulder height. Keep pushing your hips back. You can open your arms. Keep your spine nice and integrated. This ultimately becomes a yoga pose, but today we're just loading it in this healthy, natural posture way. Come back out of that. Good. Stand back into Tadasana. Bring your hands onto your hips. Back it up. Use your toes to grip in, chin down, back of the spine long. Maybe you want to feel that coming forward to the front of the foot, going back to the heel, and really starting to find that place where your spine feels really integrated. Ooh, it's further back than I thought. So for me today, this feels like my best posture. But it's different every day. It's why we need to practice. Every day is a new day. You're in a new body. It needs conditioning. It needs to practice being human. Thank you so much for your practice today. I hope your body feels happy, healthy, and that you're safe, and your practice brings you ease.